What does Paul say that gets him taken to Rome in front of Caesar? We're going to answer that question coming up next. Hey guys, this is Dana with the Wisdom Calls channel, helping you to understand the Bible better so that you can have a better relationship with God. Welcome to Bible study today. If you're new here, consider subscribing down below. We've been studying the book of Acts together, one chapter at a time, and we have come all the way to Acts chapter 25. That's what we're going to be diving into today. You'll want to make sure to stick around all the way to the end of this video, where we're going to find out what is the one big question from Acts chapter 26. So with that, we're going to jump right into Acts chapter 25. Read along with me. I'm going to be reading from the NIV version. 3 days after arriving in the province, Festus went up from Caesarea to Jerusalem, where the chief priests and the Jewish leaders appeared before him and presented the charges against Paul. They requested Festus as a favor to them to have Paul transferred to Jerusalem, for they were preparing to ambush him and kill him along the way. Festus answered, "Paul is being held at Caesarea, and I myself am going there soon. Let some of your leaders come with me, and if the man has done anything wrong, then they can press charges against him there." After spending 8 or 10 days with them, Festus went down to Caesarea. The next day he convened court and ordered that Paul be brought before him. When Paul came in, the Jews who had come down from Jerusalem stood around him. They brought many serious charges against him, but they couldn't prove them. Then Paul made his defense. "I have done nothing wrong against the Jewish law or against the temple or against Caesar." Festus, wishing to do the Jews a favor, said to Paul, "Are you willing to go to Jerusalem and stand trial before me on these charges?" Paul answered, "I am now standing in Caesar's court, where I ought to be tried. I have not done any wrong to the Jews, as you yourself know very well. If, however, I am guilty of doing anything deserving death, I do not refuse to die. But if the charges brought against me by these Jews are not true, no one has a right to hand me over to them. I appeal to Caesar." Now see, in those days, if you were a Roman citizen and you appealed to Caesar, you had the right to go before him in court. So you're a Roman citizen, you have special privileges in this society. After Festus had conferred with his council, he declared, "You have appealed to Caesar, so to Caesar you will go." A few days later, King Agrippa and Bernice arrived at Caesarea to pay their respects to Festus. Since they were spending many days there, Festus discussed Paul's case with the king. He said, "There is a man here whom Felix left as a prisoner. When I went to Jerusalem, the chief priests and the elders of the Jews brought charges against him and asked that he be condemned. I told him that it is not the Roman custom to hand anyone over before they have faced their accusers and have had the opportunity to defend themselves against the charges. When they came here with me, I did not delay the case, but convened the court the next day and ordered that the man be brought in. When his accusers got up to speak, they did not charge him with the crimes that I expected. Instead, they had some points of dispute with him about their own religion and about a dead man named Jesus who Paul claims was alive. I was at a loss at how to investigate such matters, so I asked if he would be willing to go to Jerusalem and stand trial there on these charges. But when Paul made his appeal to be held over to the emperor's decision, I ordered him to be held until I could send him to Caesar." Then Agrippa said to Festus, "I would like to hear this man myself." He replied, "Tomorrow you will hear him." The next day, Agrippa and Bernice came with great pomp and entered the audience room with the high-ranking military officers and the prominent men of the city. At the command of Festus, Paul was brought in. Festus said, "King Agrippa, and all who are present with us, see this man? The whole Jewish community has petitioned me about him in Jerusalem and here in Caesarea, shouting that he ought not to live any longer. I found that he has done nothing deserving of death, but because he made his appeal to the emperor, I decided to send him to Rome. But I have nothing definite to write to his majesty about him. Therefore, I have brought him before you, and especially before you, King Agrippa, so that as a result of this investigation, I might have something to write. For I think it is unreasonable to send a prisoner to Rome without specifying the charges against him." So we see here, not only did Paul have the right to ask to appeal to Caesar, but now he's kind of obligated, because now that he has appealed to Caesar, he must be presented before Caesar, regardless of the judgment of these two authority figures. We also see here that Festus is at a loss, because he doesn't want to send Paul onto Caesar without any charges really brought against him. I mean, it's going to make him look like, You can't handle your leadership position where you are. Why can't you handle such matters where you are instead of having to send these on to me? So he has to have some reason, some reasonable purpose in the letter as to why he's sending Paul on to him. And so he's hoping that King Agrippa will help him and his wife Bernice will help him to figure out something to put in this letter. And once again, we've seen that the Jews continue to come before these authorities, but they have nothing that can be proven against him, nothing that he's done wrong that's deserving of death. It's merely a dispute, a disagreement about the matters of the Jewish faith. And so the Romans are kind of at a loss as to what to do with him. So I know this has been one of our shorter videos. It's one of the shorter chapters in Acts, but be sure to tune in next time where we're going to talk about Acts 27 and we're going to find out, could Paul have been released? Is it possible that Paul could have been set free? We're going to answer that question coming up in the next video. If you haven't yet, make sure to subscribe down below and give me a like or a comment as to what you're getting out of these Bible studies together. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Wisdom Calls channel. And remember to keep seeking wisdom, for in Proverbs 4, it says to get wisdom. Though it cost you all you have, get understanding. Cherish her and she will exalt you. Embrace her and she will honor you. Thanks for watching this video. This has been Dana with the Wisdom Calls channel, helping you to understand the Bible better so that you can have a better relationship with God. Have a blessed day.